Yeah, well, so, Denny Crane. So, just Denny Crane. I'll reference Boston Legal, why not? Because if anybody knows more about movie trivia than the Kevin Smith guys, me. I know a lot of movie trivia and TV. But, yeah. But he produces and directs movies, and I've never done an official movie. Just fan films and underground films. And fan films. Studios never backed me. Those cameos when I was younger didn't lead much anywhere. That's why when the Kal Kat show started, failed child star. Kal Kat was the joke. It was failed child star. It was in some kind of TV show or movie, and he failed. And and didn't make it, so he's going to be a blogger on YouTube. The San Jose State guys like that as a premise. That's funny to do that. Oops. Sort of like the anti-Kirk Cameron. Yeah. So, well, shooting shit. I was working on that Robotech story. I was thinking, I don't want to use any of the elements from the Sentinels in there. The books, the Jack McKinney books. Because it doesn't really work. And because Space Bridge and Bioship Mysteries and Endless Circle, and those other stories from the mid-2010s, 2015 to about 2020, established that in that universe everything was okay and fixed, and it only got messed up when the Robotech guys and the Invid Queen went back to 2018 and changed the destiny of Rick Hunter and crew by changing the Robotech destiny. So certain events would never happen. The Transformers end up meeting the Zentradi when they arrive, and the Transformers end up convincing them not to attack. And then end up keeping the battle fortress. So that changes the Sentinels immediately. But Rick Hunter still marries Lisa Hayes in 2022. That's this year. That still happens. In the Shared Hallucination, the two universes collide again. In 2020, we learned that the SDF, there's 3 SDF ships altogether, and each one was attacked and destroyed by Transformers or Renegades and Trotty. And so they don't have a ship to fly off in. They're going to rebuild one of those ships out of the fractured remains of the other 3. We get a flash forward in the story, in the end of Shared Hallucinations, where it's 2050, and Rick Hunter and crew have gone on the Sentinels missions with help from some of the Transformers, and they have successfully returned. It's 2050. It's further than any Robotech's gone. And he has a transgender daughter, but not a son this time, and much other stuff happens. And Max Sterling became Captain Max. It's very similar to Macross 7. So it's following the Macross saga instead of Robotech. And now if you go back to the Robotech scenario, as Clint Cowpoke did with his announcement several months ago when Robotech, Harmon Gold finally made a deal with Big West and the others. Said, all right, we can distribute and bring out other Macross projects from the past and make new ones together with Sony to do the movie. Cowpoke also suggested you must cast a Korean you must cast a Japanese girl to play Lin Min Mei, and she must know how to sing. She must be a Japanese girl. She cannot be an American pop singer. Makes no sense. Gotta be Japanese. Absolutely. K-pop star. No, not K-pop, J-pop star. J-pop star. Not a Korean. Korean would kind of work, but no. It's not Aquafina. Don't. No. I mean, that kind of could work, but I don't know if it does. I mean, it could. I mean, if they get lazy, get Aquafina, but But don't no, not somebody like Taylor Swift or something. Don't do that. You'll ruin it. And Rick Hunter's got to be a little Japanese guy. Roy Fokker could be a white guy. Claudia Grant has to be black because she was. And the diversity includes a admiral who is some kind of Admiral Global, Admiral Grovel in the Japanese version. Appears to be some sort of islander slash maybe Puerto Rican or Hispanic or something. That's it struck me as being the show. Kind of looked like a young Danny Trejo. They were probably thinking of Edward James Olmos back in the day. Clearly wouldn't be him now, and that's clearly what Ron Moore was thinking with Battlestar Galactica remake. Admiral Global, of course, is Admiral Adama. Sure. But yeah, the original Robotech was not about... the original was 3 discrete series, came out in 83, 84 over in Japan. And there were 3 different, the same studio, 3 different series. And so they weren't connected originally at all. There were just 3 different series with similar mecha. So yeah, a lot of the weird stuff and a lot of the cliffhangers and stuff aren't there in their version. So the Sentinels is something we made up and didn't work. Actually, Harmony Gold, I did not. The Americans made it up. Okay. I was only 17 when they wrote the Sentinels. I couldn't have thought that. 16 or 17. So yeah, the love letter to the Robotech fans is coming. It's not Do You Remember Love, but it's interesting. Yeah. And so originally the Robotech story was going to continue, so they threw in this weird... So in the Invid Invasion in the American version, they tied in the next new generation Space Climber Metsupede, as it was called, to the original Robotech by continuously saying Jupiter section was somehow Rick Hunter's expeditionary force, all the way through. But Rick Hunter's ship doesn't emerge from hyperspace, and Scott Bernard's going to go out and look for him. So then, the Shadow Chronicles tried to hint that they were going to do that. But Tommy Wyan, who we knew of back then, 2007. So, he didn't know what he was doing, comic books and stuff. I made the Hayden Knights evil and decided that in that series that he would do another one to explain that. Never got around to it. So they made the cliffhanger worse. And then they found that footage from Love Live Alive 2012, and they released that, which included that weird part where Lancer's girlfriend, Sierra, indicates that just the 3 of us, there's going to be a baby. It kills the show. That killed it. They did not make any more after that. They said, no. 10 years ago, no, we're not going to do that. They killed it right there and said, no, we're not doing that. But they did this weird Love Live Alive thing, which was a remake of the Masters OVA Love Live Alive from Harmony Gold. And I remember seeing that years ago at a convention and with Carl Macek present. Yes, I met Carl Macek, the original Robotech guy. My friend and I, Mark Scars and I met him, and he was kind of a weird dude, as I recall. He was alive. But yeah, he had some interesting ideas for Robotech. But yeah, combining the two were the 3 discrete series for the 85 Robotech show. That was interesting. And also, I misremembered some stuff back in the day as well when I was looking back at doing the On Location saga of Pine Hill and the others for release on Amazon. And I was like, Amazon books, that is. Not the TV. There's no TV show yet. But probably with bobbleheads. But if there's a TV show, it'll be with bobbleheads. And also Blessings Deferred. But we'll go on to that later. So, the On Location thing. There was a character named Jason Cranston who was a fan of Robotech, as I was at the time. I was unclear as to when certain events actually took place, because actually it seemed that the Robotech stuff that we played on the playground started before it actually started. The show, in the journals, it said, like, like, oh, 85, like early 85 and stuff. Nope, it was a little bit later. It was March or April 85. It was not January 85. It was a little later when it started. So in order for us to actually be fans, we would have had to watch the whole series all the way through. So it was like pushing into 86, probably December of 85. Pushing into 86, actually. Yeah, the time flows differently when you're like 14 or 15. So when the show starts, 15. Yeah. It was fun to do the Transformers thing in the same studio where we did the Trans series. Not to be confused with Trans People. That's just what we called it, Transformers, the Trans series. It had nothing to do with that. They just didn't. That's just what it was. And robots, as Cards pointed out, robots shouldn't have gender anyway. Either way. They only did that to mimic humans. It's implicit in the story, although Mark's card says that if they did have gender, they would be free to express their gender the way they wanted to. So. Some of them might, some of them might. And that's okay, because it's the new millennium now. So a Robotech story continuation would be awesome. So yeah, I was saying that the spaceship thing is not in the Japanese version. In the Space Climber Matsubita, because they did do a U.S. release of the Japanese print. You can watch the 2005 or so they came out to 2008. A little later, you can find those. They released the Japanese one with subtitles, so you could watch the whole Japanese one. And some of those episodes that we translated, we mistranslated, like the cowboy one with the cowboy trader guy. They made it sound like the cowboy trader guy, the cowboy guy that his friends betrayed him, was getting revenge on them and betraying them and the expeditionary force to the Invid. But he wasn't. The Japanese version, they made that a little clearer by not including insert scenes from elsewhere, from the Wolf episode, which was different. The Japanese one as well was more of a lone gunman. So the lone gunman one, or the gunman one, the trader one, the gunman one weren't similar. They were more like samurai things with the cowboys. And yeah, Wolf doesn't betray them to the Invid because he wants power. He betrays them to the Invid because of money. He's gonna get money somehow. So that's different. It's a different motivation. Also, the other betrayal of the other guys, he's out for revenge against the people that betrayed him. He didn't betray to the Invid. He got betrayed. He's a Ronin samurai that's gone out, and his samurai group has died, or his samurai group has betrayed him, so he's going to go and get them. It's very samurai. Space samurai. And the one with the old guys in the Robotech ship, that was completely different, because the planets were all different. In fact, Southern Cross, I was looking that up because that's where they're going, the Southern Cross. In the American version, they make it sound like it's a constellation Southern Cross, in the books too. And that star system is too far away. That constellation is 300 light years or more. And it's a red giant. It's not a blue giant as described in the story. And clearly in the... So clearly in the... yeah, that star system, well, but sci-fi, they just go anywhere they want. In the Japanese one, Southern Cross, Space Cavalry Southern Cross, takes place on a planet in the Proxima system. That's close to Earth, about 5 light years away. And they kind of had elements of that in... They had elements of that in the books, because the STF-1 takes about 5 years to get to the system and back. So they kind of had it in the books. They just forgot. And they just put them together. But the Robotech wiki pages explain that it's supposed to be Alpha Centauri. It's where the Masters are. Or at least one of their bases are. That's Phantom. That's what they had at Alpha Centauri. Coincidentally, that's one of the star systems that guess where Cybertron is supposed to be. So yeah, so that's where Cybertron is. That would place Junkion in the Proxima system. Roughly. But yes, so of course in the Space Bridge continuity, the end of Colonel Optimus Prime and Transtech. Cybertron is in the solar system, the Sol system, because it was brought there by Galvatron, space rockets. So, yeah. Yeah, and our angsty Trans 2 thing. So yeah, there's so we can do whatever we want because we've set up the Sentinels so that do our own version of the Sentinels. I'm thinking one Robotech movie that deals with that a little bit. Go to Fantoma. There's your story. There's your story. Put the crew going to Fantoma. Because the 1 hour Robotech the Sentinels movie, they never finished it. It was unfinished. Apex commentary and all that. They had to add like 10 minutes of this weird, like crappy animated, like Robotech the movie thing thrown on the end. And it didn't fit. We're going to go there. We're going to go to Fantoma, the Valkyrie system, the Centauri space. And it's also said to be a white star, like Sirius, but it's not. It can't be. I guess it could be the Pavana system instead, which looks like a peacock, but no, it's probably not. That's also in the south. No, it's probably Centaurus. In that general area. It doesn't need to be officially that, but that's kind of what we're thinking. So, it's a trinary system. It makes more sense anyway, because then you could have the dynamic of saying, well, the reason the Phantomites, the Masters, and the Invid were at war is because they're in neighboring solar systems. They're in Centauri A and B, and you could just have them go back and forth like they did in Space Bridge. So you totally could do that. It's like, sure, why not? Science fiction, do whatever. And anyone else feel free to go to do something else entirely if you're a fan film. Start shooting the shit about Robotech, because that 3 minutes of scripted. And basically cleared up a bunch of stuff like really early on there. because in the trans universe, they've apparently trans tech universe, they've apparently already dealt with B.D. Edwards in those other stories because he was the main villain in Shadow Rising Returns. We ended up doing. Tommy, you never finished them. I took the unsold stories of the Shadow Returns and Shadow Children, and I made fan films out of them. So you could see them. So yeah, that's what he was gonna do. So you can go watch those. End of the Circle. The Endless Circle is an adaptation of the End of the Circle, the final Robotech story, taking us into the future, 2046. And of course, Love Live Alive didn't happen that way. And no, Lancer and Cira were lying to each other. They didn't have a kid. And furthermore, Lancer explains, well, he's gay. He doesn't want Cira, so he wouldn't have her in the bed because he likes dudes. Because he was gay. Because drag queens back then were fascinating. And it's interesting that there are so many. You go on the internet looking at like some of that new generation stuff, because in the Robotech show, it was supposed to be like South America or something. So you have all these Latin websites and things that have done these Robotech songs and things, Lancer songs and Paratext and stuff, Latin American. I liked it. Well, in the Japanese version, it's not. In the Americas, it's on another planet. It's not Earth. But, okay, fine. Not supposed to be Earth. But yeah, they changed it. Well, it's sort of Earth. I guess it kind of was Earth, but yeah, they changed it. The map they showed where the Southern Cross happens and all that wasn't supposed to be technically. I guess it kind of was Earth, but yeah, it's kind of garbled, the American one. I have to go back. I think it was. I think they put that map of the U.S. and South America in there later in the American one. They just didn't show it in the other one. Yeah, I think so. And if not, it is the Earth, but it's like a parallel Earth where bad things happen. I think that's it. It's like a parallel Earth. And the Invid, technically being energy beings, would have defeated them immediately. But yeah, they couldn't just be killed by synchro cannons firing on them. That makes sense. Mark Cars explained the only way that would work is if somehow the synchro cannons were able to disperse their energy completely. How would you... I don't know how you could do that. Antimatter, I guess? There were antimatter guns. Well, that would blow up everything. Yes, the atmosphere would catch fire. It'd be the selenite bomb. Robotech was funny. Oh yeah, Rand was in the Japanese version. Rand was more hyper, and Annie was about the same. And Lunk was called the coward in the Japanese version. He had run away from the military, which is interesting. They kind of addressed that in the American one a little bit, but in this one, that's what they nicknamed him. It's messed up. But yeah, not our version. Funny all that Robotech stuff works out. Anyway, so I'll chat on Robotech. And also the Starship Locations story going on thing. And testing out the waters of the... I don't know about the Starship Locations. I'm thinking the Starship Locations thing is going to be one episode like the Robotech thing, like a movie. Because, yeah, to start out. Because I don't think we can commit to a 7-episode thing at this point. But maybe one movie. So yeah, like a movie. Also, so what's fun is the guys at ArcSoft and Star Trek Online are using what amounts to this premise and set script of a mirror board war and the neglected child and numerous other Cillian references, and they have created a game. You can go in there and play on Star Trek Online called Star Trek Online Ascension, which the Wesian, or the board one, is the Mirror Universe Emperor. So you can go check that out. So Starship Locations is on Star Trek Online. So we're not getting paid. We just did it for free. So here you go. Here's an idea. I went with it. No one of the animators who was on Silly Track, I know he was involved directly. A guy named Scott, he was on there. So, yeah, we're doing more. So, so yeah, we have tied to the other show as well. And of course, if you've seen the Star Trek Picard trailer, you've seen the sort of Shangri-La class looking ship, the Regine Churchill church ship. Does look a little bit familiar to Silly Trek fans. Go back and watch the Star Trek Chimera fan film, 2019. It looks a lot like the Titan A in that one, and it's called the Titan A in Picard Season 3. I modeled the wood model that I built after the Shangri-La class, and also the Excelsior class. Kind of combined them. Look like. So, yeah, I'll have to do a thing for the Trek thing. The Trek, Silly Trek, the Star Trek Chimera website saying this is the differences of this ship. It is different. There are differences. You know, as to avoid confusion, it's 20-30% different. But yeah, the saucer is more elongated on mine, and it's less Constitution 2 class. It's more Excelsior class. It's more a nod to the DC Comics / Marvel Comics Star Trek. Back in the day, the Excelsior from the between Star Trek 2 and 3, that weird 3 and 4, the weird comic book series. More of a nod to that. And also, Riker needs a bigger ship, so we couldn't use Luna class ship. And it is the Titan A because the Luna class was introduced in Lower Decks. And Lower Decks has had fun with including some of the Kal Kat characters this season already, including the Transporter Chief, Brian Story Guy. Love it. But it is interesting that although the actor playing him in the cartoon was someone else, it clearly was Brian Story. It's clearly what it was. It would be the right timeline, the right uniform, everything. So, totally worked. Well, it was supposed to be Tim, but I don't think so. I don't think it was supposed to be Tim. Tim was earlier. And also the hyperactive Trekkie geek that goes to the planet and steals the Phoenix is Silly Kelly. It's Silly Kelly. He's like, I'm gonna steal a spaceship. He would totally do that. Yeah, the character that he invented. It wasn't me playing him though. Someone else playing him. She just cast me. I'll do it. I mean, after all, I gave them that Guardian Forever idea for season 3 of, and Sue Cal for Discovery. So, they probably don't know where this stuff is coming from. They're probably just borrowing it from various fan sources. Oh wait, they'll never know. But unlike Edith and Barbara, who got mad because his game was being used as the premise for Discovery's characters, I embrace it, and I said, you can use them. He's going to hire us once in a while. Fun. We'll do it. We'll do more. So, yeah, the ArcSoft thing appears to be working. It's still a little buggy, so it's not to work out. But the Kal Kat Chimera person will be on Star Trek Online playing the game, the Cillian game, I guess, with the Mirror Universe there. That one first, I guess. Jump right in. Or something else, maybe. I have to build a ship. I have to make it look like the Titan A. Titan A was right there. I was like, holy shit. Okay, guys, and I know it's based on the Shangri-La class, so I didn't think of the Shangri-La class. What's going on is I thought I made my ship similar to that, and so did they. The engineering is similar. That's all. But yes, that was fun. So yeah, shooting the shit. And ArcSoft game thing. Yeah, on the game, oh my god. Since they've already had a Chimera on the game since the beginning, and Aaron Eisenberg playing the Chimera class commander, all that, in that other episode. So they've had Cillian stuff on the game, ironically, since it started in 2012. But now Kal Kat's actually on, 10 years later, Kal Kat's actually on it. So you can go and see him. But yes, we'll see whether that works out. So, I'm probably going to be really bad at it because I don't know how to play it. Blamed, misbehaved. And of course, fans out there that come up with an interesting premise out there on the game. Just like we said years ago when we wanted to do Star Trek Locations as a game. And we do a game, and then we did some storybooks in it because Chimera was about to come out. Well, storybooks in a game. Finally said, like, you know what? It would make more sense than going through all the trouble of building a platform. We just joined the platform that already exists. Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense. Because you know who the guy that suggested, that space fleet. Because at the end of Picard season 1, we go to cut and paste fleet. We had John Eves cut and paste fleet. Nice cut and paste fleet, but it was a cut and paste fleet. Yeah. We're all like, why don't you go to ArcSoft Games and get Star Trek Online and just use that? Use their assets. You guys own it. Go and use them. Oh yeah. Duh. Let's just use them. So. Apparently they couldn't use the Luna class, so they changed the ship, which is weird. Probably they didn't want to pay, who's that guy, Forrester? Something like that. The guy that did the original, Luna class ship. You have to look up the Trek Yards version on that. And at some point, the Trek Yards guys will be doing the STF-1 ship. But not yet. I kept asking them about that. We don't know what we don't. The problem was that they didn't know the size because it's unclear in the show how big it is. You should guess. They did some of those like that, back Fleet Yards ones. Well, some sources make the ship out at 1.5 miles across. Let's make it 5 miles across. So yeah, that's kind of confusing. I'm thinking it's more like 5 because it's got like a city inside it, 70,000 subscribers. It's probably at 5 miles. We built the bio ship before we wrote the Robotech things out of parts from the Chimera ships. We haven't seen with the Chimera ships separate and stuff. And also, the reason the Emmett Till and the Chimera from the current Starship Locations kind of look like Star Trek Online ships is because we made them look that way. So we wanted the Emmett Till to emulate the Chimera class starship, and also look a little bit like the Josh Braun and the Raxler ship from Star Crackers. So just reuse the model. Just reuse the model. So they serve two purposes. They look like a Star Trek ship or a Star Cracker ship. The reason we couldn't do saucer sections is because symmetrical wood paneling ships are easier to build. We couldn't make circles and ovals. Yeah. That's the reason. I mean, we could have, but it would have been harder. Yep. Uncle Bill from Duluth used to make balsa wood ships years ago. Really studio accurate balsa wood tugboats and stuff from riverboats and things from Duluth, in Duluth, Minnesota. And he had in the museum. They were literally like museum quality. You could put those models, those boats that he built, you could put them in a movie that's set on like the Duluth lakes or something. It's a movie. It would look close enough on film, blown up. They would say, "Oh, those are really good-looking models. I mean, they're models, but they're on point. They look like any of the other ship models from like the '80s in a movie." So it was awesome. I always wanted him to build me an aircraft carrier. He never did. I don't do modern ships and things. You go build one yourself. So I was 15 or 16. I built one called the John Williams Cat after one of my friends back then who had long gone. Then I could have named it the John Yeager, probably should have the Mark's cards, but I didn't. But he came back in 1990, but only briefly. Mark's cards. John Williams. But it was JWS Cat. It was an SDF-1 sort of ship, but I built this thing out of cardboard, out of boxes, and stuck it together, and just put it in the Carta Transformers thing, this Carta, which was originally a C for cardboard robots. Robots on the cheap. That was later, though, 20 years later. Car robots on the cheap. I also think that was 94. No, it was 5 years later. 94. Robots on the cheap. And, but this was 86, 87. And I built this thing, and I built it, and I lacquered it over and over again with lacquer, so you could actually float it in the pool at the Cabana Club. And it had on the back, it had a styrofoam thing stuck to the back to level it. Needless to say, it didn't float. Not in the slightest. It was never tested in the pool, the Cabana Club. It was tested, and basically it came apart, and the styrofoam part went up to the surface, and the rest of it went, and it just melted. So it was gone. So Carta 2 completely rebuilt it, and then set it on fire, because we do that in '94. And it comes around full circle when you have these bizarre things. So then you have Clerks. Clerks came out in 95, 94, 95, 94. And the Kevin Smith movies were sporadically introduced to me throughout the 90s and the 2000s. But it exploded with the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Because that one had a little bit of a connection. So that one was like, oh, okay. Well, not the Scooby-Doo Zoinks part and all that. Clerks 2 and Zach and Miri Make Porno. But none of the others. But no. I liked Dogma, and I liked it disappeared at one point and had to order another one. Now it's hard to find. I got another one. I got Chasing Amy. That one has a funny story because they based it on a story Kevin Smith had, which was based on a blog that I had indirectly. He didn't know it. There was an Amy that was Mark's Card's sister, and so it was kind of like that. It wasn't really, but it was kind of sort of, and it didn't work, and it was unrequited. So he wrote about it. Kevin Smith made a movie, Chasing Amy. It wasn't until just recently that Mark Scards happened to see that movie. He said, "Yeah, that's uncanny. That's the parallels of the actual Amy Unrequited story." And no, it wouldn't have worked with you two. No. Doesn't like that kind of whimsy, So, yeah, it wouldn't work. But yeah, but it's funny because Kevin Smith made a movie. That's okay, because all of that stuff was closer together back then. You could actually, in the '90s and the early 2000s, you could talk to famous people on YouTube and they would answer. And you could tell them stuff, they would answer. You could do stuff. I didn't tell them anything, but it was something he came up with. It wasn't connected. It was just a coincidence. I mentioned Amy, but not by full name. But and it was unrequited. I think that's the only thing similar. I'm not gonna. I didn't tell anybody out there about anything. It didn't happen. It was basically, yeah. It was actually like they used the name Amy, but it had nothing to do with Amy. See? I based it on another girl named Alex, and that story, and that became the Kevin Smith. So, well, not really, but not really. Okay. Snoochies, as they say. It's just a really weird coincidence. That's all. So just shooting the shit. And snoochies means I'm kidding. So, anyway, so yeah, Mallrats was basically on location. So he's done on location. Even that creepy guy played by Ben Affleck. It's on location. So we were on the same wavelength as Kevin Smith. Totally on the same wavelength. And we would have done a Clerks type of thing too back in the day. Because totally on the same wavelength. He just beat us to it. So of course, Clerks 2 rolls around. And they're all like, that'll include at least one of our jokes in one of your movies. What about the donkey show joke? There you go. Do that one. Make it based on a donkey show. That'd be funny. And actually deliver the goods. Show it, well, kind of simulate a donkey show. Yeah. Of course, the actual donkey show story. I wasn't there for the donkey show. My friends were there for the donkey show. I did not actually. I have seen, unfortunately, my friends and I have seen on the internet donkey show. One of my friends actually saw a live one. It grossed him out. He's like, dude, I saw a donkey show. It's nasty. It's gross. Whoa, it's live. Ew. Now let's just say, yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing they didn't show that. Yeah. Fellatiating a donkey. Ew. He did not fellatiate a donkey. But he saw it. Donkey had a big dick. Yes. Dick. Ooh, no. Anyway, so the donkey show. And like there's lines that get repeated in the Clerks 3 movie that are like bizarre because they're our lines too, because we're on the same wavelength. He wants to film a movie and they keep saying, "Are you making a porno?" Because that is exactly what happened during the making of the Star Crackers. The reason we couldn't have any girls in it was because all the girls that we knew about immediately thought, "You guys are gonna make a porno? We don't want to do that." That's literally everybody thought we were making a porno. It's a space movie with a laundry room in the background. It's a space movie. Sometimes it was in a kitchen or in a living room with cardboard sets with Lego pieces on the console. It was a totally innocent space movie. It's not a porno. Should have been a porno. Maybe it would have made more money. Nah, it's not going to be a porno. Oh, yeah. It's just shooting the shit. Been on the same wavelength with Kevin Smith for years. Be hilarious if you just show up the Scum and Villainy Cantina or someday in the future and just nonchalantly walk up from Kevin Smith. Of course, I'd have to bring my nephew Dan along because he's the one that is even more of a Kevin Smith fan. So I'd bring him along. I'd do that because he would know all. Yeah. Bring him along, but he has kids now, so it's probably not. Probably be Mark's Cards and I meet him. Yeah. And then for now, we'll have to stick to other bloggers from the local area that are in the movie that like that really hyperactive dude that we saw Cats with the hyperactive dude, and he posted his review of Cats. I posted my version of Cats. Cats was bad. Hopefully he sees Clerks 3 soon. I didn't see him in the theater today. Other blogger guy. He wasn't there, I don't think. Maybe he went to the other one. Mall show. Yeah, and there was no weed. Kevin Smith. And you gotta have weed. Oh, man. Weed. Not like Jay and Silent Bob reboot where they had weed. And brownies. Yeah, that was cool. I didn't get the brownies, though. It was like a cake with a little wacky tobacco on it. Wacky tobacco cake. Not this time. Oh. Anyway, I was shooting the shit. Oh. Ew. In Twilight of the Mallrats. No, you won't. Probably more likely on Star Trek Online. So, yeah, or conventions. I'm at the convention. I was there. Mark Scars was there. We were at that Silicon Adam Savage convention. Some lady thought that I was Adam Savage because I was wearing the shirt. She's trying to sell stuff in front of the Michael Stationery. It's like, I'm not wearing a shirt that has my name on it. That's ridiculous. Okay. I'm not Adam Savage. No. It's a little weird. It wasn't weed. Darn it. I haven't seen it. Yeah. All of the stories that we do in the space, they're all within the compliance of the. Yeah, you look back at like all during the pandemic, we did the Transformers Mush and the Chimera's sequel, the Strange Worlds, and all that, and the trend that all 3 seasons of that, 2 seasons of the Chimera thing. Yeah, we've all been compliant with the mask mandates, rules, whatever, and everyone in the cast is tested for the COVID to make sure that they didn't have it, and the cast and voice acting is all tested, and wearing masks when they were out during the pandemic. So there was we're all following the rules. So, Ew. All fully vaccinated, even. Although I could have sworn I did catch a wee bout of the Omega variant back in the day, but it lasted only a couple of days. I did catch the Omega, but it was like because of the vaccine. It was actually so it was like, oh, this sucks. This is the Omega variant. I had to catch the Omega variant because it's like it sounds like a transformer. Anyways, yeah. I guess that's me shooting the shit for like an hour. Just talking about shit. Half of it's going to be out there. The fun thing is that a lot of it's going to actually happen. So, not giving you any stuff that isn't going to happen. A Robotech thing and the 3rd season of Strange Worlds and or a movie. The Robotech thing is probably a movie as well, and also there's a constant slew of the former blessings deferred story. Everybody said Author House gave up on it, they gave all the spammers and scammers keep coming in and going like, oh, blessings deferred. Oh, we try to sell your book, and so on Amazon, the price of this unsolicited this book, the price of the book it's out of print, has skyrocketed to $50 or something. So these scammers think that it's making money when it isn't actually making any money. It's not in print anymore. It hasn't been for 10 years. So yeah, we technically do own the rights to that name and title, and blessings deferred, and we can't work out the canary space thing yet because we can't design lizard men and ant-men. However, we'll work something out with that. But blessings deferred, we could do the short story versions of those with bobblehead people, Funko Pops, because it's cartoonish anyway. So totally do a blessings deferred thing. Over there, fractured feet of clay. So I have to come up with a story, a script, at some point to a movie. What's funny is one of the recent scammers was today. Said, oh, you could sell your books to, we could help you work with Paramount, DreamWorks, and Warner Brothers, and it just named all the different studios. It's like, but they're all rivals. Yeah, Warner Brothers and DreamWorks are going to hang out with each other. Disney certainly isn't. Might as well have just listed Lionsgate in there somewhere. It won't be Lionsgate. It'll be Cats Media. But yes. Anyway, so that was me shooting the shit for an hour. Later. Yeah, so this is Kal Kat, the Kal Kat show. And let's see if we can get him over there at least. So you get light from over there. And yeah, so I'm watching I could do a spoiler review of the Kevin Smith Clerks 3 movie. Well, I'm probably not gonna. I'm just going out and see it. So instead, I'll bore you with some fucking Q&A and stuff. I eat this ice cream. That's fake ice cream. It's non-dairy. So I watched that those Transformers one. After the after show thing. And it's it was a really fun season of episodes. Yeah. Good episodes. Kevin Smith. The Kevin Smith I would have been before the YouTube thing. Yep. Not provable. Cause like back then, saw videos and DVDs. A couple of messed up movies back then. So the view is skewed. There was the vulgar. And Brown Flies. I don't think they ever made it to DVD. Vulgar also had Brian O'Halloran in it. Oh. Zach and Miri make a porno. Clerks 2. Let me show the podcasting where Fake a Donkey Show. Very funny. I actually liked the Kevin Smith He-Man because like it was different. And like if they'd stayed for part 2, it redeems it. However, I don't think the Star Wars prequels truly redeem themselves. Maybe more about poster about it. I don't think they do. But in that case, JJ didn't take our advice at all. Advice to JJ Abrams. That one was if you're gonna do Palpatine, reveal that at the end Palpatine is a puppet. He's being led by Jar Jar Binks, who's really the Sith Lord. He's like, I'm not going to do that. That's too silly. Because everybody's going to expect that. Same thing at the end of Lost. We all guessed. Lost is going to be like the incident at Owl Creek Bridge. Lost is going to end with him realizing the whole movie was just a plane careening toward the island to blow up. Which would have been a better ending. But no. Everybody figured it out. So they were like, oh, fucking sideways universe. And I sort of did that, admittedly, with the last 3 episodes of Transformers Lexicons, because I decided to tackle the Netflix series. I've watched the Netflix series in the Earthrise and Fallen in Kingdom. In Kingdom, they head through the dead universe on their way home, and then they're seemingly home, and they've seemingly found peace. The Beast Wars are in their own separate universe. They flew through the dead universe to get there. The theory of my story is that they never got out of the dead universe. They're still there. However, I rescued them. And since it's a multiverse, in another universe, they get out. Escape. The weird irony is that Mark's Cards has not watched half of season 1 of that series. I think he got through Crows of War and jumped on to Transitions. That's it. But if you guys are going to watch 3 episodes from the first season, that and Redemption, alright. Would be the ones to watch. And of course, Shared Hallucinations 1 and 2, which were basically hard at. It does make the question, how would we do a Robotech? Because we'd be like, the Sentinels, clearly. I was actually written three pages of the script for that story. Believe it or not. And I don't want to copy the Sentinels. Now, what's going on in the Transformers meets Robotech universe, as it was the Macross universe, it's a multiverse too. And as of Space Bridge, there's a new timeline. Because of the events of the Shadow Children, Shadow Return, and Shadow Rising. The Space Bridge, the other. Starting with the end of the circle. The Endless Circle story on the Space Bridge and Bioship mystery. The Robotech forces in the 2040s got home. Rick Hunter returned home, got home, and yeah, they totally did. I said so. Alright, so decided to be gross and eat ice cream while doing a Shooting the shit. All right. Now.